Thoughts have increased. The average person has 2,000 or 3,000 thoughts a day. When you woke up this morning, the little thought-ometer went off. The average thought 20 years ago was about 20 seconds. It's about 8 seconds today. Thoughts have increased. 80% of your thoughts today are in the future and the past, and only 20% in the moment. What's up with that? We don't look each other in the eye long enough to discern eye color. That's not acceptable. And I know COVID, we've been alone, we've been isolated. Breathing. Right now in this room, your average breath is 15 to 17 breaths per minute. If you hit 20, you're going to freak out a little bit. You're going to get frustrated. 20 breaths a minute, you're impatient. 23, 24 breaths a minute, panic is around the corner. And if you hit 30, you're breathing through a paper bag, hyperventilating. The best in the world don't have the average 15 to 17 breaths a minute. The best in the world breathe under 10 a minute. And I'm going to test everybody in the room in just a few minutes. Why is that important? When you have a big event, you want your heart rate up, and usually our breathing goes up. The best in the world, the gold medalists, the world champions, their heart rate goes up, 150 beats. Their breathing lowers. Now the blood flows evenly, smoothly, gets to your brain so you have more clarity. There is a mindset that can overcome what's been happening to us. We hang on to the past way too much. If you worry, raise your hand. Raise your hand. Goodness gracious. Worry. What is worry? What's the anatomy of worry? You want to get rid of worry? Let's get rid of it. Today. Would you like to never worry again? How cool would that be? You'd be walking around smiling every day. You know this little piece of skin right here on the right? That's to chew on when you're worried about the future because your creativity's on this side of your brain. You know that little piece of skin inside that you chew on the left? Well, that's where your memory's housed. You're worried about what just happened. Worry is when you take a thought or something happened. Why would she send me a text? Are you kidding me? It's ridiculous. Gosh, dang it. You know, never before in the history of mankind have we had so much information coming at us from every angle. It's increased to the point of, give us a break, please. I can't believe she said that. That's ridiculous. I may put it down, but I'm going to pick it back up, and then I might put it on a loop and replay it. Replay it again. Replaying the past, a negative past. That is the root of worry. And then we do something crazy. Crazy. We take our available imagination and we sprinkle it all over that replay and project it into the future. Oh, I bet she called her ex. I bet she did that. And now I'm making stuff up, and now I'm worried. Let's just cut to the chase right now. You want to make a change in your life? You need to think about what you think about. If I had a printout of every one of your thoughts today, would you show that to the group? I mean, some of you are going to get arrested for what you're thinking. You know I'm right. You may not act on it. I'd love to see the printout of every athlete I coach. The best in the world think 30 to 40% less thoughts. 30 to 40% less. They don't think more, they think less. And that's how they get into a peak performance zone state. And this isn't just for athletes. This is for each one of you. in your business, as you lead your team. This is about thought management and your thought leaders and your thought influencers. You need to think about what you think about and eliminate going into the past. The best in the world only go into the past. Learning, evaluation, maybe a little analysis, and then they bury it in the backyard not to be dug up again. Next. You may go in the past to have a belly laugh with an old college buddy. That's cool. Otherwise, don't replay a negative past twice. You must be aware, and we're all awake. We're not all aware. We're not aware of our body language that we're giving off. We're not aware of the emotion that we're communicating to our family, our children. And we also send out psychic vibes, and we're not aware of it. Oh, Mama picked it up. Where's that little bird? I'd like to shoot that thing with a BB gun, but my mom always knew where I was. How'd she know? Oh, a little bird told me. How did she have that gut feel? Most of your great business deals were probably against your CPA. You just had a gut feel. And intuition? Well, if you're overthinking 2,000 thoughts, 3,000 thoughts, intuition is in another zip code. The best decisions made in corporate America today are with a gut, and you've made a few of them with your gut. How many golfers I got in the room? Oh, you all have blown this a lot. I coached Luke Donald at #1 in the world. He had to work on this a lot. 187 when we started. 187. Thoughts. He overthought. Thought way too much. Thought about himself. Wasn't sending energy down the fairway. Are you thinking like a champion? Have you reflected on where you are right now in your relationships, with your siblings, with your personal money? Have you gotten up above your life and looked at each of the arenas? Or have you put all your happy eggs in your business? Just like I told Frank Thomas, don't ever forget you're more than a baseball player. You're more than a baseball player. You're a son, you're a brother, you're a friend. I met Frank Thomas rookie year in Chicago. And for you non-baseball people, he played most of his career with the Chicago White Sox. That was Frank on the video. The first time I met him, I looked him in the eye and I said, so son, what do you want? Why am I here? What do you want? I've only had 3 people do this to me in 51 years. He looked me dead in the eye and he goes, Hall of Fame. I'm like, dang. Hall of Fame. Let me ask you again, Frank. What do you want? Hall of Fame. I said, it's going to cost you. How much is your fee? I said, my fee? Man, you're going to be paying me chump change out of your front pocket. How much money are you going to make? If you have an abnormal vision and an abnormal dream, you must breathe abnormally. You must think in an abnormal way. And you must act abnormally or you'll be normal. I know most of you are mountain climbers. I know you got your own Mount Everest to climb. I'm a Sherpa. I'm going to get you up the hill. I'm going to help you in an avalanche. And that day that I make Frank Thomas, I said, you got to sacrifice. You're going to miss your daughter's birthday party. And he goes, I don't have any kids. I said, you may have 19 kids like Sean Kemp by the time you get to the Hall of Fame. I hope you don't. 6 baby mamas, so that's another story anyway. I said, you're going to miss your anniversary. I don't even have a girlfriend. I said, Frank, you may have 2 wives by the time the hall comes, 22 years. I hope you don't. But you're going to have to pay a price. But you can have it all. I've coached champions in sports, I've coached champions in business, but they weren't very good fathers, and they were terrible husbands. And they weren't even good to themselves. I'm coaching 2 billionaires right now, and they're miserable. I'm like, what? What? Why is that? Thoughts. We're going to get into thoughts. But that day I was with Frank Thomas. I said, okay, Hall of Fame. Have you ever been there? It's in Cooperstown, New York. Yeah, I was there at an All-Star Showcase game. I said, well, why don't you go there now? He goes, what do you mean? I said, shut your eyes, and I want you to give your induction speech. Because I like going B to A. I don't like going A to B. Let's go B to A and reverse engineer how we going to do this, how we going to climb this Mount Everest, Mr. Hall of Fame. So he shut his eyes. We're in the dugout. It's about 2 in the afternoon. Nobody around, just Frank and I. And while he shut his eyes and visualized walking up on stage to give his Hall of Fame induction, which would not happen for decades, by the way, I shut my eyes and I visualized I was in the front row watching Frank give his speech. And 22 years later, when Frank walked out, first ballot, gave me a shout out, I started crying like a child. And Frank started crying too, because we were the only two that realized he had visualized this 22 years earlier. Do dreams come true? No. Sorry, Disney. But dreams with well-defined goals, routines, tasks, and commitment, oh, they come true. Are you a dream maker? Every one of you visualize. When I say McDonald's, some of you is looking at a Big Mac. You might be looking at the arches, or maybe you're thinking about some fries. But as soon as I say that, boom, there it is. There it is. Are you aware that you spend, if you sleep 8 hours a night, trust me on the math, you're awake 112 hours a week. You spend 60% of those hours daydreaming about things you haven't given up on, visualizing. Each of you here are master visualizers. But is it synchronized? Is it well coordinated? Because today, if we really reflect on what's happening, the majority of Americans are thinking about what they don't want. Oh man, I don't want these bills. Oh, I got to go to that Burger Singerman thing. Oh, okay, the traffic in Miami's horrible. I probably should leave now. You know the drill. We think about what we don't want. That's not a champion. Thoughts. The power of one singular thought is in your grasp. Physical. I got to give a shout out to Ukraine. I was living in Ukraine, in Kyiv. I lived there a few months. Lovely people, and I'm so sad of what's happening. This isn't political, but war's not my cup of tea. So I'm coaching the Ministry of Education. I'm coaching some Olympic coaches, Olympic athletes at the Patton Institute in Kyiv, and they came and said, hey, we're doing a really cool research project on telepathy. Would you like to join us? I go, yes, I'm in. Oh yeah, I want to be there. Listen to this. This was a mind freak for me. They took a little baby, about 10 months old, in a bassinet, in a closed room, very cool, very dark, all cuddled up. Had a heart monitor, had a brain monitor, and a breathing monitor, breaths per minute. Just snuggling. Door shut. Mom is on the other side of this building. She's hooked up, brain monitor, heart monitor, breathing monitor. And then we go to the mom. I want you to think about something that was horrible in your life. We're so sorry. We want you to do that. Can you shut your eyes, ma'am, and think of something not good? Her heart rate went up. Her breathing went up. her brain activity changed, and simultaneously, on the other side of the building, all snuggled in a little bassinet, the child's heart rate elevated, breathing elevated, and the brainwave pattern matched her mother's. Not one word was said. There was zero communication. What's up with that? It was all intuitive. It was real. And then we asked the mom, think of something awesome. Think of something that just makes you happy and smile. And she shut her eyes. We got her to take some deep breaths. You know what happened. And her breathing lowered, heart rate lowered, brain activity smoothing out. And the baby did the same. Think about what you think about. Oh, you can have a fight in the other room with your significant other. You don't think your kids are hearing about it, feeling it, picking up the vibe? You're mistaken. You all know don't fight in front of your kids. And as leaders, we've had this thinking about an employee. They're doing horribly, they're late, they're not productive. This remote work hasn't really worked out for this remote worker. How do you think about them? Slacker. But the great leader sees potential and sees what they want, not what's obvious and then they don't want. The great coach sees an all-star when everybody else says, you shouldn't even be playing. You shouldn't have minutes in the game. And the great teacher, she sees an A student in her mind, and she sends out that vibe when the kid's failing, cheating, not doing his homework. Go back to your business, go back to your family, and reflect about what you think about. Because the people in this room, you're mountain climbers. You each have your Mount Everest. But you're more than a businessman. You're more than a businesswoman, sister, daughter, mother, personal, wellness. How do we not treat ourselves well? Well, we're making too much money. We're too busy. We put all our happy eggs in one basket. And the investment group knows that's probably not a good investment. Better diversify a little bit. Where do you diversify? Spread your positive thoughts to all your arenas.